Alrighty. So this is a quick video, just to show off the portable, show off that it works, and just show some of the potential flaws or slight imperfections it's got, just so that you know what you're buying. I don't want to seem like I'm hiding anything or think someone's getting something they're not. So this portable is Majora's Mask themed, and so on the back here, this emblem is 3D printed into the case, so it's not painted, it's not going to wear off. The one downside is that there are some slight flaws in it. So if I bring it up real close, you can see like there's a little gap right there, there's a little gap right there. So it's not perfect if you really like scrutinize it. From a distance, it looks really good though. So just note the emblem isn't perfect, but I'm happy with it. But yeah, just don't treat it as something that's like stenciled on or anything. Then we have the fan vent here. And then on the top, we've got two triggers. The triggers are dual tact modded, so if you press lightly, you'll get the analog press that you would on a GameCube controller, and then if you press a little harder, you get a click, and that's like a full press. Not a whole lot of games use that, but some of them do, so it should be good for that. On the front, you got two sticks, ABXY start, as well as the speakers, and then an LED. And then on the bottom, we have the USB-C port for charging and data transfer. We have 3 buttons for volume and controlling the screen, a headphone jack, and then the power button to turn it on. So to turn it on, hold the button for a couple seconds, and then you'll see the LED in the corner come on, and then the screen should eventually turn on. Yep, so that's the menu you'd expect. One of the weird things this portable does is sometimes the console doesn't boot up on the first try. So if you turn it on and you get a blue screen that says VGA in the corner, then you'll need to turn it back off and turn it back on. I've had that happen on a couple portables in the past. I don't know what causes it to not boot every single time. But if you try it once more, it should always work. I've never had it take more than one attempt to boot. But yeah, so here in the menu is where you'll put your GameCube games, or you'll have your GameCube games. And so to change a setting on a GameCube game, you just press B on it, and then you have different ones here. You'll want to force progressive on pretty much all your games, because that the screen is 480p, which is progressive, and so that should help it work more consistently. Then as far as everything else, if you've got cheats, you can enable those. You'll always want memory card emulation to be yes, because there's no real memory card in here. Memory cards are just loaded off of USB. And so then to load up a game, you just press A on it, then it should just load up. If you go to like a red screen or a blue screen, like while you're loading a game, then just mash A. That'll make it work for pretty much all games. The reason that happens is because the do you want to display in progressive is popping up, and if you don't have that set up, then the screen isn't able to read the any of that. But anyways, so we're in Double Dash now. See, it runs perfectly. Although I guess it's a real Wii, so it'll run all games pretty much perfectly. So on the bottom here, the buttons we've got, the button on the far left is volume down. So if I hold this down, volume goes away. And then the button in the middle is volume up. You can make that pretty loud. If you want to just mute the portable, you can press both buttons at the same time. And then press both again to unmute. And then the screen controls, so this button on the right opens up the screen controls menu. So you got this for like brightness, mode, language, display ratio, all that. The one thing about this is that you're still controlling the volume while you're moving through these menus. So be aware of that, because you can crank the volume up super loud and startle yourself. So to like, one thing you might need to run somewhat often is auto config, because different games will kind of show up on the screen in like different spots, and sometimes they don't quite line up. Like right now you can see you've got like black bars along the side, but not that side. And so running auto config should fix that. Sometimes you have to give it a try or two, but it'll usually figure it out. Yep, like that time, now the screen is all lined up as it should be. Another thing you might want to use is Language. Oh, display ratio. So if you want to play your games in 4:3 rather than 16:9, you'll get black bars on the side. But if you're a purist and you really like playing your games in that style, then that's how you can do that. So let's see. And then to get out of this menu, just navigate to exit, press the menu button, and then just get out of that. Okay. And then using headphones is as simple as just plugging them in down here. You're able to control volume the same way. Yeah, so let's exit back out. So you can quick exit by holding R, Z, B, and down on the D-pad in GameCube games. So that's how you can get out of there. Okay, so in this menu, you notice a few things. In the top right, you've got the battery percentage, and you've also got a temperature reading. So that temperature reading is just saying how hot the Wii or the Wii is right now, and it shouldn't ever be above 50 degrees C. Usually, like when it's been running for like a couple hours, it'll be hovering at right around 50 degrees, and that's perfectly fine. I think the scary point is when it starts to hit like 70. But if it does get too hot, like if you were to like set it down and block the fan vent, it'll probably overheat eventually. But when it notices that it's getting close to overheating, it'll just shut itself off. So you don't have to worry about putting it in a carrying case, it accidentally turns on, and then it completely melts down. That'll never happen. And so then to navigate to other menus other than GameCube games, you spin the C stick. And so if you want to go to Wii games, you hold here for a couple seconds, it'll flash. And now we're in our list of Wii games. Wii games have their own settings as well. So if you press B, you don't want to ever enable Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, because this portable doesn't have either of those. You can enable USB saves if you want to like run your Wii saves on like another console. Like if you wanted to play some of your Wii saves on from the portable on like a big TV, you could do that by enabling USB saves. And then if it's a game that doesn't work with a GameCube controller, you'll want to enable GC to Wiimote. So I'll go ahead and set one up for New Super Mario Bros. Wii. So you'll hit Enable GC to Wiimote, and then Configure GC to Wiimote. And so you can see we've got a bunch of different settings here. Let's see, it's really hard to see which one I have selected, just because of the way my camera captures the screen. Okay, that's a little better to see. So, Wiimote orientation, you can set it to sideways or standard. So standard is like straight up and down, sideways is sideways. Wiimote extension, you can set it to nunchuck or classic controller. Nunchuck works, classic controller doesn't work currently. Motion plus isn't important. Remote IR mode, I like to set this to shift. This is basically setting up the pointer for the Wii remote, which is important in some games. And so usually I'll just map it to a stick. So like the C stick now, if I move the C stick, then the cursor on the screen will move around. Wiimote IR timeout, that's how long like the pointer will stay on the screen before disappearing. And so you can set that in between never or about a second. So you can map something, you just press A and hold the button. If you want to map like two things at the same time, then you press A and hold both of them. There we go. Sorry, it's a little jank. And so you just go through all your buttons, map them how you want. Depending on the game, you want different configurations. And so then at the bottom, we've got shake. And so generally you want to map all the shake buttons or all the shake inputs to the same button, because different games read shakes in different ways. But at the end of the day, once you've got it all set up in a way you think is good, you press start and you'll save the configuration. And then if you boot up your game, it'll be there and you should be able to play it. So that mod doesn't work super well on games that require precise motion controls. Like you can't do most of Wii Play or like Wii Sports or Skyward Sword or other games that require a lot of precise shaking. But I've beaten New Super Mario Bros. Wii with it. I've beaten Super Mario Galaxy with it. And then obviously games that you can control with a GameCube controller, like Mario Kart Wii or Smash Bros. Those will work just fine. And then, let's see. So aside from Wii games, we have the Virtual Console menu. So if you put your Virtual Console files on here, they'll show up. Virtual Console is in a bit of a jank state right now. It doesn't work super consistently, so I can't promise that any games work perfectly. Some games work, some games don't, but feel free to give it a shot, and then future updates should make it more robust. This menu doesn't do anything right now. Homebrew menu is where you'll go if you want to boot like emulator games. So on here, I have an emulator for NES, for GBA, Game Boy Color, Game Boy games, SNES games, and N64 games. N64 games are pretty hit or miss, just because emulation for them on the Wii isn't super great. Obviously, this is a Majora's Mask themed portable, so if you want to play Majora's Mask, I would recommend getting the Zelda Collector's Edition for the GameCube, which is this one, because that one's got Majora's Mask on it in a state that works really well. Although there's also a Virtual Console version. I haven't tried that at all, but that one also might work. And then the last thing we've got is the settings menu. You shouldn't need to go into this too much. There's various themes here. I wouldn't mess with controller. So this sets different power settings for how it charges and such. Don't mess with these. I've set them so that they're like optimal for the battery configuration in here. I don't think you can break anything if you messed with this, but I would recommend not messing with any of this because it could cause issues. And then, yeah, and that just shows different things that are in here. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I'll run a Wii game real quick just to show that that works properly. Then I'm trying to think if there are any little flaws that I wanted to talk about. The case is 3D printed, like I said before. So in person, there's some slight like lines and such you can see. There are a few imperfections in the case, like right here. Yeah, so it's not a perfect case, but it should do the job just fine. What else? I feel like that's pretty much it. Oh wait, hang on. I think I might have forgotten something. It wasn't booting New Super Mario Bros. Wii. I think I know why that is. So I'm just going to turn it off and turn it back on really quick. Oh, and this is the blue screen I was talking about, where sometimes it doesn't boot properly. And that should be fixable. Just powering it off, powering it back on. Uh-oh. Give it a second. Okay. We're going to give it 10 seconds. Never had it do that before, which is concerning. We'll give it one more try, because I don't want to have to refilm this whole thing. Okay, there it is. I will do some testing to make sure that doesn't happen very often. Yeah, okay, so the issue was Bluetooth was enabled, so we want to disable that. Now when we boot New Super Mario Bros. Wii, it should just work. Yeah, it'll flash to a blue screen for a second, but then we get the nice Wii safety stuff. And so there it is. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There isn't any quick exit for Wii games, so you do just have to power it off when you're done. But yeah, so that's the portable. I think it's priced at $1,500, is what I'm going to set it as, because I'm not able to sell these as often as before. But yeah, if you've got any questions or concerns about it, feel free to shoot me a message and just ask. Happy to explain anything if there's something you're confused about or don't understand. But yeah, I will figure out why it took so long for it to boot up the second time we were trying it, because that shouldn't happen. But yeah, hit me up if you got anything.